Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has said the threat against former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi by the All Progressives Congress APC and the prolonged detention of Mahdi Shehu signals a shift towards an authoritarian government which suffocates the rights of opposition voices. The former presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party (PDP), who urged the intervention of men and women of goodwill, said the time has come to put an end to the stifling of voices that are crucial to the health of any functioning democracy. He also called on the APC to issue a formal apology to Obi and Nigerians for using disgraceful language and making intolerable, reckless and derogatory expressions. On Monday, Obi, in response to a remark by the APC spokesman, Felix Moka, that he, Obi, has crossed the line. By the way, he criticized the government, declared that his life and that of his family has been threatened. On the other hand, a chief magistrate court sitting in Kaduna ordered the remand in the Nigerian Correctional Center, Kaduna, of Shehu, who was earlier arrested by officers of the Department of State Services after he rebuffed calls to pull down videos he posted online claiming that President Bola Tinubu granted France the approval to set up a military base in northern Nigeria. Reacting, however, Atiku, in a statement he personally signed, said the inflammatory remarks issued by the publicity secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Felix Moka, directed at Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the last general election, serves as a disturbing emblem of the current administration's unsettling strategy in addressing opposition figures. This threat against Obi, coupled with the prolonged detention of Mahdi Shehu, a prominent voice of dissent, and other signals a worrisome shift towards an authoritarian government's model, where the rights of opposition voices are being suffocated. Such language, rooted in hostility, has no place in a free society where civil discourse and engagement should reign supreme. A true democracy thrives on the healthy exchange of ideas, where the criticisms and contributions of opposition leaders like Peter Obi are seen as vital for the betterment of governance and the promotion of public accountability. It is not merely the right, but the solemn duty of a democratic government to listen attentively to the voices of its critics, to engage in meaningful dialogue, and to allow space for the articulation of alternative viewpoints. Instead, we are faced with a chilling threat that suggests Obi must be ready for whatever comes his way. What exactly does Mr. Moka imply by this? It is imperative that the ruling party provides clarity on the disturbing insinuation. Equally troubling is the crude and disparaging manner in which the APC spokesperson, has framed Peter Obi's calls for constructive engagement, likening them to a lawless Wild West scenario. Such reckless and derogatory expressions cannot be tolerated, and it is incumbent upon the APC to issue a formal apology to Obi and the Nigerian people for such disgraceful language. Quite interesting. But I'd like to get your thought on this. I mean, this has to do with, the speech Peter Obi gave on New Year Day and Felix Moka's statement that I have trended online and also caused controversies. I would like to get your thought on this.
Yeah, I got that, and it is quite pathetic to see that the government that we have always lost in this country barely had any room for opposition. It has always been the case that whenever opposition rises in this country, opposition is always fought and heavily fought to be silenced. That has always been the case. And the man who is talking, Atiku Abubakar, Excellency Atiku Abubakar, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic, has always been a part of the government. Has always been a part of the government. Either personally or by proxy. You look at, he was a part of the passenger government. He was a supporter of the Buhari government. At the time, he gave about 5 billion for the Buhari campaign. He supported the Buhari government. He came out and supported it. He came back to PDP to contest, and then he lost the election after he had lost against Buhari. So you can see the same people were recycling. If they were all there, we could say from antecedents that they will all do the same thing. So at the end of the day, it is quite important to ask ourselves, why do we run a system that is very strained when it comes to the opposition side of governance? Opposition is that voice that keeps you in check. The state is not your private estate. The nation is not your private estate. Opposition keeps you in check. If you do not embrace opposition and you all want to fight against opposition, silence opposition, then that is totally wrong.
Well, I quite like the fact that you said, I quite like
keep the government in power in check.
All right. I quite like the fact that you said opposition keeps the government in power in check. Well, what would you make of the way Nigerian governments, or the approach of Nigerian governments to, opposition? What would you make of that? Their approach to opposition, most especially when they give opinions as regards to the case of Peter Obi.
That is why I say the approach is not, should I say, it's pathetic. Let me not be too harsh to say it is not sensible. It is pathetic because we do not know how to approach opposition in this country. You see opposition war. You see opposition as a fight. Opposition should be seen as the opposition will obviously not come into your office and take you out of office. Opposition simply keeps you in check to let you know that these are the areas you are doing well or you are not doing well. If you are doing well, opposition cannot say you are not doing well. They will only try to drag you in the areas they are not doing well. That means you should check those areas they are mentioning to see how much of intervention you can put in there.